All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. The date is Tuesday, March 22nd, 2022. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 and pandemic, the board is using the WebEx teleconferencing format for today's meeting. And so whether you've joined us by the web or by the teleconferencing platform, we thank you. Anyone that would like to give comments during unscheduled, please use the raise your hand feature online and try to get somebody's attention if you're on teleconferencing platform. Those members that are present in the chambers, please fill out the speaker cards. And if we have any speaker cards, we'll take them in the order that we received them. So thank you very much. With that, each vote today will be verbal, and so that the public can hear how each board member votes. And so with that, Madam Clerk, in order to establish quorum, will you please call the roll?
Joe Nevs.
Here.
Richard Valley.
Here.
Doug Verboon.
Here.
Craig Peterson.
Here.
Richard Fagundes.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now, if we can, and I forgot to check, is Chad on there?
I do not see Chad online and or in the room.
Sheriff, you want to give the invocation? Nate Ferrier, thank you very much for volunteering. If I can ask everyone to please rise, and as Nate delivers the invocation this morning, thank you for the very long notice that you received. So I appreciate that. I stretch it out a little bit.
Straight to heaven.
Yeah.
To heaven, right? Yeah.
No purgatory. Ooh.
Let's bow our heads in prayer. Dear God, thank you for a beautiful Tuesday today, Lord, and we just ask you to bless this meeting. Bless those in attendance and that are online, and we pray for your wisdom, Lord, and your guidance as we make decisions and we evaluate different scenarios, Lord, and we just thank you for this great country we live in. We ask you to bless all of our leaders with wisdom and guidance, Lord. We just ask that your hand would be upon this world. There is a lot of drama in it. And Lord God, we just thank you again for this board and our county and all those who live and work here. And in Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Nathan. Now, please join me as we honor America by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Next item is unscheduled appearances. Any person may directly address the board at this time on any item on the agenda or any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of this board. Speakers will be limited to 2 minutes. Scott, you want to start us off this morning? Thank you for being here.
Chairman, I absolutely will. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be in front of you this morning. I wanted to come forward and thank your board for taking action last week and providing a resolution declaring this week actually as Veteran and Military Women's History Week here in Kings County. In recognition of that resolution, I wanted to take an opportunity and provide a moment to ask any of the military women or veteran women or National Guard reservists, anyone, any of the women with any affiliation to gather down here and just get a picture so we could commemorate this action this week. It doesn't look like we have a large crowd. I think given the numbers here in the county, we have probably 15 if we go with statistics, but there may be more than that. And I see we have 2 and they come to us from, we have 3, 2 of them coming to us from behavioral health, no less. So if y'all would like to gather down here and assemble up. Want to come down? Supervisors, sure about that.
All of us, how about we all stand up behind for the picture?
Yeah. Yeah. You got film in that camera?
Oh.
All digital.
Did I need it?
All digital. The newspaper, be nice. All right, good job. One more time. Here, Scott, hold up. You gonna read that? All right, good job. Oh, one more for the press. Make sure you're here. All right, good job.
And if you all would introduce yourselves, please.
Yeah.
Service that your branch that you serve in. Start with this.
Stephanie Bueller, my servant. Jenna Eckel, insert for the airwork for the Air Force.
All right, good job.
Fly high.
Good job. Thank you, Scott.
Anyone any of you do aviation ordnance? Any ordies? No? No bombs, missiles, guns, nothing? None of the fun stuff?
Thank you again.
Thank you, Scott. Anyone else under unscheduled?
I do have a speaker card.
Okay.
I have Rebecca Bell.
Good morning, Rebecca. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Rebecca Bell, Wingate. Now, I have now the last meeting, I asked to see how the SEIU 2015 is going. So any developments?
Diane, you want to address that?
I'm sorry, I was slightly distracted for a moment there. You're asking for developments on the IHSS?
Yes.
We continue to be in negotiations with IHSS. There is nothing to report out at this time about the contents of those negotiations.
Okay.
Going.
And on another issue is regards to the overwhelming population of the cats and dogs. I understand, I actually spoke with the pound, the animal control, and they said they're in the middle of the process of doing to where they're doing a packet to request for funding since the budget's going to be up in June. So I would like for you to take that into consideration because it's going to be a substantial amount of money that's going to be requested because I think it's been over 10 years since a facility has been created to help control the pet population, and they're seeking for another facility, and they have a vet to kind of help them with that. And it's just that if right now the help that they have from the Hope Animal Foundation in Fresno, before COVID, it used to be 70 that they used to be able to send, and now it's only 10 per week. So they're pretty much stuck with them. So if we can just get them fixed, that can reduce the population significantly, at least by 85%. So for right now, the clinic is, they're charging $60 for cats and $130 for dogs. So, and Friends of Kings County Animal Services, they're actually not able to help them if they have dogs over 60 pounds. So that kind of, if they have large pounds, if you think about it, cats on average, they can actually have, the cats can have at least more than 100 in their lifetime. So that's a significant amount. And dogs more have, you have 690 and then 70 pups in their lifetime. So, and they can start, the pound ones is within 5 weeks is for kittens. So if you can get them fixed for that one. So but if they're more like pets, then they're more for 5 months. So that's why it gets it in there. But that's why it's really important to help control the pet population. We have to have some sort of funding to help them get fixed. So, when they present their budget or when you have the budget coming in June, so please take that into consideration.
Very good.
Thank
Thank you.
The next speaker is Bill Lynch.
Morning, Bill. Thank you for being here.
Chairman, members of the board, my distinct pleasure to introduce the newest face in our administration, Chief Matt Sanfilippo. He recently promoted. He came back the second week, and so I guess he's going to stick around. But Matt's job is training, and we tasked him right out of the box with two academies, one being the Firefighter Academy, the other being the Fire Apparatus Engineer Academy, and he's rose to the occasion. So Matt's a longtime employee with the county, been with the agency for 17 years, and I think he started in Avenel when he was born. I don't know, he had to be a little boy because he's been there for as long as I can remember, so he's always been Avenel. So, but we're really happy and excited to have Matt come on board. He's got a lot of skills, a lot of abilities, and has a lot of good ideas. So I'd like to introduce Chief Matt Sanfilippo as our training chief.
Congratulations, Matt.
I'm supposed to talk?
Yeah, no more than 5 minutes, but.
All right, I won't take that much time. Wanted to thank Chief Lynch, Chief Cunningham for the great opportunity. I'm excited about what we have moving forward. I just wanted to say that, just in reassurance, we had an amazing candidate pool for this particular job. They could have chosen any one of them and they would have fit in absolutely seamlessly. I feel blessed and humbled that I was chosen. But we have really good things on the horizon in this department. So I'm very thankful for that. Thank you for the opportunity.
And good luck. Thank you. Good job.
That's all that I.
All. Dave Robinson, you want to talk about something that's in the consent calendar this morning?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Dave Robinson, Kings County Sheriff. On one of our consent items, it was the subject is authorized Sheriff's Office staff time and county resources to assist with the California State Sheriff's Association Annual Conference. That's at the end of next month. You will actually all be getting an invite for the opening ceremonies. The agenda item kind of addresses what the conference is about and everything, but I did want to make one request in the fiscal impact section. It says this total staffing time is not to exceed $17,000 and will be absorbed within the current adopted fiscal year 21-22 adopted budget, sheriff's budget. I would like to interject the word expected, not expected to exceed 17,000. I only say that because there's many dignitaries that are invited to the event. I learned yesterday of one that's coming that we can't talk about, but the governor's invited, the attorney general's invited. And so I just need a little bit of flexibility if possible, in case we do go over a little bit, just to have a little flexibility. And also I wanted to add that this very similar agenda item went to the Tulare County Board of Supervisors 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago and was also approved by them on a 5-0 vote. So I would just request the word not expected to exceed be interjected in there. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Dave. Any questions for Dave? None. Thank you very much. Last call for unscheduled. See no one come forward, no hands raised, no hands. So that concludes unscheduled appearances. The next item is to report out on a closed session item held March 15th.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your board took no reportable actions on March 15th.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Hill. Moving on to the next item, which is approval of the minutes from March 15th.
Motion to approve it presented and adjusted. Amended.
Second.
Moved by Verboen, seconded by Peterson. Any other questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Let the record show the minutes stand approved, 5 in favor. Thank you very much. Now moving to the consent calendar, there are a couple of changes. First change from the Ag Department, item 2, consider the the cooperative agreement with California Department of Food and Ag for the pink bollworm plow down program has been pulled, and then the amended language that Sheriff Robinson added for the Sheriff's Department item. Are there any other questions or comments regarding the consent calendar as amended?
There's no questions, comments. Move for approval as amended.
Second.
Moved by Peterson, seconded by Verboen. Additional questions or comments? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Let the record show the consent calendar stands approved as amended. So thank you very much, everyone. Moving to regular agenda items. First item comes from County Council regarding AB 361. Diane, would you like to talk about the item.
Yes, I would. This agenda item is to consider renewing the board's AB 361 findings, which would allow it to continue to hold teleconference meetings under its abbreviated, under AB 361's abbreviated teleconference provisions. Under AB 361, the board is able to hold teleconference meetings when there is a proclaimed state of emergency and when the when state or local officials continue to impose or recommend measures to promote social distancing. These conditions necessary to make these findings exist, making it so that in the board's discretion, it may pass the proposed resolution and allow continued teleconference meetings. And therefore, I recommend that the board pass such resolution.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
I'll move it, presented.
Second.
Moved by Verboen, seconded by Peterson. Additional questions or comments? Hearing or seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes. Let the record show that item stands approved, 5 in favor. Thank you very much. The next item comes from the Health Department. We have several items. We're going to lead off with the World TB Day. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Everardo Legaspi with Public Health. I come to you this morning requesting that your board adopt a resolution proclaiming March 24th, 2022 as World Tuberculosis Day. Excuse me. Each year, March 24th is recognized as World Tuberculosis or TB Day to raise public awareness about TB and its impact on people around the world. This year's theme is Invest to End Tuberculosis, Save Lives. Before the discovery of antibiotics, TB was the #1 cause of death in the United States. Regularly testing for and treating active and latent TB infections, as well as mandatory reporting to local health departments, has helped reduce case incidence in the US and other Western countries. Worldwide, however, TB is still a leading cause of death with approximately 4,100 daily deaths. As the Kings County Health Officer, Dr. Teskey puts it, if we tested everyone in the US for TB infection, we would find that about 5% would test positive. But if we did the same in Africa, the Middle East, Central and South America, and Asia, about 85% would test positive, which is why almost all cases here in the US can be traced to immigration, overseas travel, or contact with an active case. Unlike most other bacteria or viruses, TB is not destroyed by our immune system, but rather it is locked up in a sort of jail, as Dr. Teskey puts it. And this is what is called latent TB. This is why it is important for all of us to raise awareness and invest to end tuberculosis and save lives. In Kings County, there have been 21 active TB cases between 2016 up to today, with all 21 of those cases completing their medication treatment. Latent TB cases treated successfully amounted to 41 in 2018, 50 in 2019, 21 in 2020, and 8 in 2021, with an additional 3 cases pending treatment completion. The Kings County Department of Public Health is committed to the CDC's goal of eradicating TB by supporting local providers in the identification, testing, treatment, and referral of TB-positive cases and providing comprehensive case management to ensure treatment completion. To reiterate, March 24th is World Tuberculosis Day, and the theme for 2022 is Invest to End Tuberculosis, Save Life. TB is preventable and treatable, yet it remains one of the world's leading causes of death, taking approximately 4,100 lives daily. Thank you, and I'm happy to do my best to answer any questions you might have.
Good, thank you. Any questions or comments, concerns? Moved by Fagundes,
Second, Mr. Chair.
seconded by Valley. Thank you very much. Additional discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Craig Peterson.
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Let the record show, 5 in favor. Thank you very much. Good job. The next item from the Health Department deals with software data migration.
Good
So
morning. Thank you, Chairman. Board, Rosemary Rand, Public Health. I'm coming to you this morning with 2 items, number 2 and 3, regarding our Environmental Health Services vision. The first item, Environmental Health Services currently maintains an older version of Acela software, Envision Connect Suite. This application of Envision Connect is being phased out and is being replaced with a newer generation of software, Acela Civic Platform, which is the item 3 below. SCP Technology Consulting LLC, or SEPTech, will provide a one-time migration of data from the phased-out Envision platform for the implementation of the updated Acela Civil platform. The migration and any data table conversions are expected to be completed in 7 to 9 months of executing the contract and the installation of the Acela Civic platform. There is no cost to the county general fund associated with recommended action, and the total cost for the data migration from SEPTech services is not to exceed $300,000. The cost has been allocated for in fiscal year 21-22 in environmental health services under budget 411500. We request your board to authorize the Director of Public Health to sign the professional services agreement and any subsequent documentation with SEP Technology Consulting for data migration and to upgrade Acela Inc. platform. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And Troy Hummerding from Environmental Health Services is here on this portion of the item.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions or comments regarding the 2 items?
Make a motion to approve as presented if there are no questions.
Okay.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Verboen, seconded by Valley. Additional discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboen,
Yes.
Craig Peterson,
Aye.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes. Let the record show those 2 items stand approved, 5 in favor. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes, very good. Next is an update on the COVID-19 activities, and good morning.
Right. Sorry. Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Heather Silva with Public Health. So as of March 14th through March 20th, we had a total of 71 community cases. The health department continues to issue isolation and quarantine orders through our website for all COVID positive individuals and their close contacts. We continue to focus on prioritizing the highest risk populations for investigation, which include congregate settings, skilled nursing facilities, businesses, and schools, which is in alignment with the rest of the region and the state. Omicron is currently the dominant variant in Kings County, making up 100% of the specimens that were sequenced in the month of March so far. As of Friday, March 18th, Kings County has identified 4 cases of the BA.2 variant amongst positive cases. In the past couple of weeks, the United States has seen an increase in the BA.2 variant and continues to monitor it closely. At this time, there are no other variants of concern. As of March 21st, the local hospital had 7 patients in med-surg and 1 in the ICU, and of those admitted, 7 of them were Kings County residents. In the last week, there's been a 50% decrease in our local hospital, which continues to trend downward. Unvaccinated patients continue to make up the majority of hospitalized patients, which remains at 80% since the start of the surge. Our PPE status has not changed, and we're still maintaining a 60-day supply. Within the last week, March 14th to the 20th, Public Health collected 729 COVID tests, which is now remaining steady from week to week. The iHealth at-home test kits continue to be distributed to everyone who receives a PCR test at our Hanford site, our mobile testing unit, and then our Corcoran Clinic on Sundays. Our department has distributed 23,400 at-home test kits, which is equivalent to 46,800 tests. Last week, we mentioned that we distributed 12,000 home tests to community partners, which included Kings County Commission on Aging, KCAO food distribution sites, the Kings County FRCs, and the Kings County Foster Care Program. So far, Kings County Commission on Aging has distributed 400 of the 1,080 kits that they received, distributing those on their Meals on Wheels program during community outreach within Armona, the seniors that they do service, as well as their adult daycare. Foster Care has received their kits late last week, so they're in the process of creating a plan to distribute those as well to all the kids in care. And then I can have another update next week for you guys on that. KCAO started distributing them last week in Stratford and Kettleman City by placing them in the food boxes as they're being handed to families. They will continue to distribute test kits throughout other areas of the county this week. Our department has been allocated an additional 20,160 additional COVID home tests that we will be distributing into the community as well. These tests are a little bit different than the last ones. There's 2 tests per kit. These ones have 5 tests per kit, so it's a lot harder to figure out how to distribute evenly amongst the county. Right now, we are in talks with KCAO to, because they see about 5,000 families a week. So we're seeing if that's probably the better option, 5 kits per family, but we are exploring other options as well. Our emergency preparedness team continues to request additional COVID home test kits, and if the request is granted, we'll continue to push those out into the community as well. Turnaround time remains at 24 hours for test results. In the last week, public health administered 113 vaccines. As of today, we have 8,942 partially vaccinated residents and 67,918 fully vaccinated residents, which remains at 52% of the eligible population in Kings County. Our current breakthrough rate stands at 9%, and 39% of our fully vaccinated population in Kings County is boosted. Our Hanford office continues to be open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4 for testing and vaccinations. We're in Avenel, Armona, and Home Garden the first and third week of the month, and Corcoran and Kettleman City the second and fourth week of the month. We are available for pop-up sites request, which already includes scheduled events, and we continue to work on establishing a list of local providers and pharmacies that are offering testing and vaccines. Effective April 1st, 2022, requirements for vaccine verification or proof of negative test for indoor mega events will be lifted and will be moved to a strong recommendation. As a reminder, mega events are defined as crowds greater than 1,000 attendees in indoor and greater than 10,000 for outdoor events. We will be sending an email to the board to kind of go over options for us to be here weekly to figure out what the need is and what your guys' request is. So Rosemary, myself, or Lala will be sending that just to put that on your guys' radar. And then at this time, that's it for the COVID data. So our department will continue to remain responsive to the needs of our residents while also allowing our staff to get back to their normal non-COVID roles. We continue to recommend that our community stay safe and protected as we have the tools to help them through these surges. We want to remain diligent and cautious during these times as we know how quickly things can change. We continue to stress the importance of testing, staying home when you're sick, wearing a face covering, and being vaccinated and boosted when eligible. This concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Supervisor Valley?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for the information. Going back to the Corcoran Clinic, is that your only weekend clinic that's taking place in the county now?
Currently on Sundays, we are in Hanford, Corcoran, and Avenel. Lemoore, we stopped the Sunday clinic just because the demand is extremely low in those areas. So
That was my next question. What were your numbers like in Corcoran on Sunday? Are people still coming out in good numbers?
So our vaccine numbers have decreased significantly. So I think in that option that we gave you guys a couple weeks ago about ramping down after the Easter weekend, we plan to not be out in the weekends, but we still do churches and everything in Avenel, Corcoran, Home Garden, Hanford. But I think of this last weekend, I don't have the exact numbers for that site, but I want to say it was like less than 20.
Okay, so after Easter, you're going to go ahead and shut down the Corcoran Sunday and roll it into a weekday option?
Yeah, so we'll continue to do our mobile in Corcoran twice a month, but Corcoran and Avenel and Kettleman City are three of our areas that we're out there on a regular basis on Sundays. So we will still be doing Sunday events, just not in those clinics. So we'll have a list.
Yeah, no, I think that's good to start easing some of the stress on the staff. And knowing that if this thing were to pick up again, then you guys obviously already know how to deploy and do it quickly.
Yeah.
There's confidence.
We'll definitely use our contracted nurses for the Sunday events and give our permanent staff time off, just in case something does pick up again.
Mhm. All right, thank you.
And Heather, are they vaccinations or are they boosters? Or are they both?
Majority of them are boosters.
Of them are
Yeah, and pediatric doses, which is a good sign. But I think Avenel right now, we're seeing more pediatric than adults.
Oh, so
So-
you're catching that 5 and over?
Yeah. Mhm. And then we are prepared to ramp up in the event that the younger ages are approved or FDA approved or the schools start requiring it. We're trying to just maintaining a plan just in case we do need to ramp up. But right now with what our numbers are at and the demand, we feel it's the best to give our staff some time off and then let them catch up with their normal role and then ramp back up if it's needed.
Yeah, and then what are, I don't want to put you on the spot, but what's the chances of adding another booster to the vaccine regime?
I mean,
It's that, I know the producers are kind of pushing for an additional booster.
Yeah, we have definitely heard talks about that. We have a weekly state call that we attend. So that's where we kind of get updated on when that does come out. I know I read on Pfizer pushing for the 4th dose. But I don't know if, Rosemary, do you have any? No?
And then, yeah, and there'll be some ramp up time for that.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
so
And then
it's
we're
not
ready
gonna-
to ramp
It's not
up.
going to come out on Thursday and everybody start on Friday, so
The research isn't showing that it's having that significant of a
positive,
You've
yeah.
already had your third booster. The population where it is showing a little bit of effect is if you're severely, significantly immunocompromised.
Right.
So say if you're receiving chemotherapy or cancer treatments, it is recommended you get that next booster. But there hasn't been enough
Yeah,
research that's really proving that it's really required.
all right, good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions or comments for Heather? And then, just a discussion on whether to keep this on as a weekly briefing or all of this information stays on the website, so.
Yeah, well, we'll give you guys a couple of options on what you guys think is best. That is one of the options. So we'll get together and figure out which options and then we'll send it to you guys. And if you guys have any feedback or if there's an option that's not included, then we're more than willing to do that as well.
Very good, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, what about the option of, let's say there was some kind of alert? Health Department gets 5 minutes of an unscheduled appearance to
Yeah.
report up right at the beginning. So it's always flexible, then I have to worry about agendizing.
Correct.
Yeah, and that is a part of an option as well as
Right.
if there was an alert or an urgent need, we would definitely come up during public comment or agendize it if we had time.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Hill, do you have an update on staff, county staff affected by COVID?
And thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since the last outbreak began, we've had a total of 349 cases. That's one additional case from last week. So again, that's commensurate with what we're seeing throughout the county. We still have approximately 30 individuals quarantining or teleworking at this time.
Very good, thank you. Any questions or comments for Heather or?
I just have one comment, just a little bit of a housekeeping. As far as any communications that'll go to the board from the public health on this, they would be for individual members of the board to consider until they're properly agendized at a public meeting and the discussion can be had. And it's my understanding that that's what public health intends to do, but that they'll be bringing this back for discussion and for direction from the board on how it wants to proceed. Is that correct?
Yes, for sure. We just want to give you guys a couple time or a time to evaluate which options you want to choose best. We're going to keep this on the agenda until we're told otherwise, so.
Very good. Good, thank you. All right, that concludes all of the action items on today's agenda. We'll move now to board member announcements. Supervisor Fagundes.
I'm good.
You're good? Good. You want a second opinion?
Not from you. I'll start down there.
Oh, okay. Supervisor Valley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. As reported last week, I just want to follow up and thank the county parks staff as they plan to be in Corcoran, I believe 6 a.m. This Saturday morning. I'll be out there with them as they work with the existing employees of the Corcoran Cemetery District to come out and help get that place beautified. So I know that's a big ask. I know that's a lot on their Saturday. It's very much appreciated as the word's getting around the community and I appreciate it as well. And only other thing is this past Sunday, I was out in Avenel, part of the Catholic Church fundraiser is they're working to build the new St. Joseph Church out there. And they've been at it for quite a while and they're on their target, they're on pace to raise enough funds to go ahead and build that. But all the communities coming out, a lot of the communities out there supporting. They had a big festival on Sunday with barbecues going on and dancing, and it was a good time. It was a good time for the kids too. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very good, thank you. Supervisor Verboen.
Thank you. Last Tuesday, Supervisor Neves and myself attended the Slate Solar Storage Project out on Avenel Cutoff, the first solar storage project of its kind in the state of California. I think it's time to revisit our ordinance on the solar projects. I think we need to recapture some of the revenue that they create. Sitting there listening to the people talking about how great it is for their communities. It's all the communities that are against us for having water, and we should get something in trade for it if they're here taking our solar and we're not getting anything in return. So something we need to look at. On Wednesday, I attended the Sequoia Walnut Growers Board meeting. Friday morning, I attended San Joaquin Valley Water Infrastructure Authority meeting and also the Policy Council meeting with almost like a trip to the Sacramento legislative staff. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Supervisor Peterson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Yesterday, the Central Valley Soups Association, the eight Central Valley counties had the opportunity to meet with the governor via Zoom. It was scheduled for a half an hour. It ended up going an hour. So we're very thankful that he extended that. You know, I mean, he was just here last week and you know, Fresno Bee captured him talking with you know, homeless folks in the Fresno area, and just kind of interesting that, you know, I think the one thing that we had asked for an in-person meeting, and we were told, you know, the best we could do is you know, a Zoom meeting and a half an hour. But I will say that it was a very productive hour, and many of the issues that are affecting us locally, obviously the highest priority topics were obviously zero water allocation for the State Water Project and the CVP, and also making sure that you know, we continue to give a higher prioritization to water infrastructure projects, both above and below ground storage projects. The other issue that everyone thanked him for was with respect to the care courts process, but we did request, obviously, and his staff clarified additional funding for increased staffing needs for county behavioral health, public defenders, public guardians, and the courts as well. Also addressed transportation corridors in the Central Valley and its effect on air quality and other movement of goods throughout the Central Valley. Probably the most time was spent on energy, obviously, one of those issues of importance currently. A lot of time with respect to Kern County and the availability of an untapped use of you know, the Kern oil fields, one of the most productive oil fields in the United States. And it was brought forward that, you know, much of that oil is some of the cleanest, you know, you talk about clean oil, but you think about importing oil into the United States, boats have to bring it across the ocean. You know, all of those impacts to get it to the site to actually be used. And here we have it in our valley. The other issue, Kern oil is used predominantly for our roads. You know, whether we're going to electric or you know, still using fossil fuel vehicles, we still need pavement. And you know, we're just put a high priority on that. Also, secondly, under the energy side, obviously Supervisor Verboen touched on this a little bit with respect to you know, large solar facilities. And when we're talking about large, you know, we're not talking about home facilities. We're not talking about, you know, farmers using solar to offset their wells. This is large solar that is used to export, you know, for green energy purposes to specific companies and industries outside of our community. And there's a bill SB 1340 that would extend an exclusion from reassessment for taxes in our county. And we were, you know, very concerned about this. Obviously, we brought that into the water discussion with respect to, listen, you know, we've got now, you know, we've had water removed from the area. The last resort is for a landowner is to possibly lease to a large solar facility. And then, so we've lost businesses, we've lost jobs. And now the final kick in the stomach is that you take our tax base with that, or provide, you know. So the request was, if you're going to continue this, to please, you know, provide some backfills, incentivization for these large scale projects, or just let it go on its own and at its own free will, and remove the tax exclusion. And then also touched on obviously the Williamson Act We have a large budget reserve. And, part of the discussion about that was that, it's a big, roughly $30 million. So for us, it's big. For the governor, it's, not such a big issue. And he made a commitment to circle back on the Williamson Act and also on this large power exclusion. Actually had, got some agreements from him that we shouldn't be incentivizing that solar in that way that's hurting counties. So with that, that's all I have, but I'd just like to say thank you. Again, it was an hour. We had a few members that were identified to speak and, obviously the governor's time is limited when he gets with groups like that, but he made a point to ask every one of us on the call, even though time had passed the allotted time, and I think much to the chagrin of his staff, but I'm thankful for the time that he spent with us.
Is he asking for all 8 counties for Williamson Act?
Yes.
Governor, tell me, you guys did that.
Yeah.
It's 8
Yeah.
county hope.
Yep.
That's a campaign right there, man. Yeah, that's like a push with signs and a lot to do. Rallies on the steps that's more than just an ask. That would be good too. Time well spent to push for that.
Yeah.
Very good. And just to talk a little bit more about the solar and energy, Stanford University was there as well as BART, and they are both receiving credits for that solar generation and be able to draw down on that solar energy outside the hours of sunlight. And so both of them understand that. So maybe it might be time for, instead of an ag conservation type contract, might be time for an energy contract conversation to occur and have impacts, just as the important land for ag production. Might be time to open that discussion up for an energy discussion as we continue to host these events, both generation and storage.
So I agree. I think that, if we're going to have our main industry jerked out from under us with lack of water supplies and intentional changes in how the water system was developed, then we ought to be talking about, a generation fee for those lands that comes back to the county.
Yeah, and just like before, lands that had water were a $7, I think, increment, and lands without water were $5. And so, it might be time to start talking that discussion and aiming that discussion at energy generation. And I think, Chief Lynch, you've done some research on Kern County. They have a little bit more diverse with their wind and solar. And so we'll continue to work with counties that are also in that same situation. So. The Golden Eagle Pantry at West Hills College Lemoore was opened, had a soft opening in January, and has served over 450 students at that college campus, and will continue to serve students throughout its operation. Calviva, we hammered out the 2022-2023 operational budget, and we'll move forward for formal adoption by the Calviva board at a future date. The proposed budget reflects a decrease, mainly because of the pharmacy carve out. It reflects a full year of that, as well as a projected reduction in membership and enrollment. One of the pandemic guidelines is you cannot disenroll people. So there's probably quite a few people that have joined in other organizations. There's a lot of good products on the market. But we do anticipate a dip in membership. Currently, it stands at 398,000 souls in the 3-county region, and they continue to go up. But we anticipate a drop whenever the governor does away with some of those disenrollments. We also talked about reports and audits and key indicators, and everything was reviewed. South Fork Kings, we held the first in-person meeting in 2 years. We had 3 directors present, two still online. The master service agreement was discussed with the Kings River Conservation District, the creation of a grower or an advisory committee. I think in that advisory committee would be both permanent crops, annual crops, confined animals, and communities. They continue to apply for grants, of which the South Fork Kings is about 16% of the basin area. So that would be our contribution if there's any matching. American Legion had a corned beef and cabbage. Everything was a wonderful event. A lot of people for dine in, a lot of them to go to, but it was a good event. And then they followed up on Friday with their normal breakfast. Kathy and I had the opportunity to judge 4-H competition on Saturday. But still continuing to try to get used to Zoom and all of the other products. I think the students do a great job because they not only have to know their presentation and their project, but then they also have to operate with that Zoom platform, and everything worked out, pretty well. The 2022 season at Lemoore Raceway started off also with a play day on Saturday. Some of the track improvements, PA system, probably not going to improve the announcer any, but it's probably going to be louder or something. I don't know. The 2022 Rock and Gym show was also in Lemoore over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Both are the first time in 2 years. A lot of attendance, a lot of things on sale, and the vendors seem to be pretty happy. But it was a little bit chilly in the morning, but it always warmed up nice in the afternoon, and that little bit of rain on Saturday didn't really affect it too bad. And then yesterday at the homeless collaborative meeting, we heard updates on everything that committee continues to work on. So with that, Mr. Hill, you want to talk about board correspondence, upcoming events, and future agenda items?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your board received a year-end emergency services statements of funding and cost incurred for the Violence Against Women grant. For upcoming events, the lunchtime food truck takeover continues every Tuesday in March from 11 to 2 at Court Street and Civic Park. There's a free seminar for beginners to learn how to plant a vegetable garden on Saturday, March 26th at 9 a.m. located at Hoffman's Nursery at 12491 Lacey Boulevard in Hanford. The Hanford Street Rotary's 12th annual Boots, Brew, and Barbecue will host a great stakeout on March 26, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. at the Hanford Civic Auditorium. There will be a live auction, dinner, DJ music, and dance. Tickets are $75 per person, and proceeds go towards scholarships for local outreach. The Kings County Farm Bureau Wine and Beer Showdown fundraiser is scheduled for March 31st now from 5:30 to 8:30 at the Hanford Civic Auditorium. Tickets are $40 each. Upcoming agenda items, administration has 2 items: consideration of a federal earmark project funding request and appointment of members to the Kings County In-Home Services Advisory Committee. Behavioral Health has 2 items: consideration of an agreement to an existing MOU between the Mental Health Plan and Calviva, and consideration of an agreement with Kern Behavioral Health and Recover Services Department to provide Medi-Cal specialty mental health services for children placed out of county. The DA has 1 item regarding an advanced step hire at 5th Step. Fire has 1 item regarding an automatic aid agreement for fire services with the city of Lemoore. Health has, of course, the COVID-19 update. HSA has 2 items: Social Worker Appreciation Month proclamation, request for appropriate appointment, of Kings County Board of Supervisors representative to the Kings Tulare Master Plan for Aging Advisory Committee. And I'm sorry, 3 items: memorandum of understanding between the Kings County In-Home Support Services Public Authority in Kings County. Probation has 1 item regarding the Kings County Secure Youth Treatment Facility. Public Works has 3 items: a resolution of intent to form a zone of benefit and impose a parcel tax for road improvements and maintenance within zone of benefit 6-7, authorization for the Community Development Department to waive the application fee for time extension of vesting tentative track 756 phases 6 and 7, and approve Amendment 2 to the consultant services agreement with Quincy Engineering Incorporated for the 16th Avenue and Tulare Lake Canal Bridge Replacement Project. The Sheriff's Office has consideration for an agreement with National Autopsy Assay Group, Pathology Labs. And then that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Any questions or comments from Mr. Hill? Hearing none. We now have a closed session item deciding to initiate litigation, one case. If there's any reporting out, we'll do that next Tuesday, the 29th. And I bring your attention to In-Home Supportive Services, regular meeting at 11 a.m. And so with that, thank you very much, everyone, for being here. The board will now move to closed session and then adjourn out of closed session until our next regular scheduled meeting on Tuesday, March 29th. With that, thank you very much, everyone.